Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Andrew Moran, Graham Noble, Dave Patterson, and Scott Cosenza. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney seems to have lost her grip. She's been after President Trump for years. She joined forces with the likes of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and the long list of her transgressions against the Republican Party is growing. It's as if she's begging to be booted out of office. Is this a divine calling? Is she a true believer in her quest to rid the planet of Donald Trump? Graham, why the continued self-sabotage? From where does Cheney's Trump derangement syndrome emanate?
Liz Cheney, the Republican Hillary Clinton. What plans she had for herself and for the party, she likely believed it was her destiny to lead back to a glorious neoconservative future in which the political DC swamp dwellers amassed power and riches while America's working class marched off to die in glorious battle. The daughter of a former VP, Mr. Go F Yourself, the man seen as the puppet master behind George Bush Jr. How could she fail until Trump came along and forever altered the direction of the Republican Party? Then, seeing her chance slipping away, she went scorched earth. As Liberty Nation's senior political analyst, Mr. Tim Donner, suggested in a recent article, nod to Mr. Cosenza's The Uprising podcast there, Cheney may well have believed that if she destroyed Trump's legacy, Republicans would see the error of their ways and rush into her arms. So basically, Lisa, jealousy and bitterness, just like Hillary, McCain, Romney, all the other would-be and never going to be presidents.
Does anybody remember the days when just the name Cheney would send Democrats spinning out of control?
Well, I would say after that opening from Graham, I don't think he should be in the woods in Wyoming anytime soon whatsoever. After that beautiful opening there.
It was September 11th, by the way, that killed Cheney. That's when he went from a limited government advocate to this big government pro-war guy. We're all in spending, all in. He was the hero who told Al Gore during the vice presidential debate that, yes, plastic guns were okay, were a good thing. Every kind of basically, you can't believe this, right? Because it's so outrageous in the pro-freedom camp. No, Cheney responded, yes, I can. But that all went away after September 11th, and he switched gears, and same for his issue, it looks like.
Yeah, but what's funny is that everyone's complaining about the Democrats embracing the Cheney name. But why did Republicans in Wyoming elect Liz Cheney in the first place? Why did they pick a Cheney on the ballot when knowing how disastrous her father was and how disastrous of her neoconservative agenda she would be? So the Republicans and Democrats are at fault for just loving this woman, on the other side of the issue.
My theory is this, and Dave, maybe you can help us out or tell me where I'm wrong. Trump went ballistic during the 2016 campaign on Bush Cheney. Mm-hmm. I mean, he talked over and over about, the war and, the warmongers. And, he made Bush and Cheney look pretty bad. I think this is like daddy's little girl getting revenge.
Well, I think that when you start to talk about the Bush Cheney administration, that you start to have to pull back the thread on this. And, after 9/11.
I thought you were going to say the curtain, the Wizard of Oz.
No. Pulling the thread back, you find that very few presidents in the history of the United States have had a more popular polling than Bush Cheney after 9/11. Let's face it, 9/11 was an extraordinarily unique event in the United States history. And to suggest that in any way that they mishandled that is to not take history very seriously. They did a tremendous job of dealing with something that was so unique and had never happened before on the shores of the United States. So I give them high marks. No administration is perfect by any means. But when each day brings you something that no one else has ever encountered before, I think that overall, I'm going to give them high marks.
Okay, but
I must say, I am stunned at Dave's analysis of the Cheneys and Bush to suggest that they did an excellent job. I mean, perhaps I was only 13 years old, but looking back in history, Patriot Act, trying to blame Saddam Hussein for the war in Iraq, invading Iraq, not having a plan in Afghanistan, and then of course all the domestic policies that put forward, like especially on the economy. I don't know how there could be any silver lining whatsoever with the Bush administration. Bush, in my opinion, was just as bad as Joe Biden right now, without all the enhanced interrogation
and not going after Osama bin Laden when we had him pinned down in that valley in Pakistan where he was. We could have discreetly taken him out, him and his lieutenants. I just want to add, I couldn't disagree more with your analysis, Dave. They tried to impose a national ID card. It was a giant, massive power grab that ignored the perpetrators of this, who we're still doing business with today. Joe Biden on his knees in front of the Saudi royals. And we know that they were deeply involved in aiding and abetting these attacks on America. We didn't go after them. We made wars in all these other countries that had nothing to do with the September 11 attacks. And we didn't go after the perpetrators of it until a decade afterwards.
As part of the Bush-Cheney administration, as I was.
By the way, your part was great, Dave, just to be clear.
You did a really good job, Dave.
Yeah, I spent the money very frugally. But the fact is that people criticize them because of what they see as a precipitous invasion of Iraq, and nothing could be further than the truth. I mean, when you look at the over and over Rumsfeld and Wolfowitz testifying before the congressional committees, explaining that it wasn't just the weapons of mass destruction. It was the 17 United Nations resolutions that Saddam Hussein absolutely just walked away from. It was the lousy administration of the food for oil. It was the terrible destruction that Saddam Hussein placed on his own people with his chemical attacks. All of these things combined to raise the hackles of the Bush and Cheney administration and were fundamental to the decisions to go into Iraq.
Graham, before you lay into Dave, instead of relitigating Bush-Cheney, I want to go back to the daughter here. What is her problem, and where is she going with this? What does she hope to accomplish with this?
Well, I think very much it's, all the factors we've covered, and definitely what you said about the, kind of daddy's little girl trying to get revenge for all the mean things that Trump said about her. Question of, as I said earlier, Trump really taking the party in a direction that ultimately means her political future is essentially, put on ice, if not, completely obliterated. I mean, she doesn't fit in with Trump's America First agenda by any means. And I think she really believed that she would end up at some point behind the Resolute desk, leading the Republicans to this future, which Trump just completely snatched away from her.
I have one theory, though. I think that Liz Cheney, she's trying to jockey for a position on MSNBC and become the new Claire McCaskill. I think she wants to be trying to get that $1 million position, or a guest or a host or something. And MSNBC says, hey, look, we're intellectually diverse. We have a Republican on MSNBC. So watch our deteriorating network.
I will say I've never seen such a volte-face as what the Democratic Party has done with Dick Cheney. I mean, talk about a love-hate relationship.
He was Darth Vader to them for a generation.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't blame them. I don't blame the Democrats for portraying him as Darth Vader. Sorry, Dave.
That's okay. Everybody in Canada is, entitled to their opinion.
I mean, one thing we've learned from since 2016, one thing we've learned is that no matter how much the left hates you, the moment you say something bad about Donald Trump, then all is forgiven and you're their favorite person.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Well, Ms. Cheney seems to be aiming a loaded handgun at her political career. Perhaps her famously misfiring father taught her a few things at the range. Thanks, panel. for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform. YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, we're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, surf on over to libertynation.com. Join us in the member zone, just $17.76 for the entire year. Special thanks to our fantastic editor and post coordinator, Frank Diorio, and our executive producer, Sarah Cowgill. I'm Lisa K. Donner, editor-in-chief. Thanks for joining us today. This has been a production of libertynation.com, where truth is making a comeback.